to get my headphones here so I don't cause echo. Hi, Susan. How you doing?
Oh, hello. I'm good. How are you?
Glad to have you on here. I'm just going to make sure that we're in all the right places.
Just so you know, I'm a real person here.
Good to hear your voice.
Hmm.
I'm just going to ensure that I'm streaming everywhere. Put myself over onto the side.
Switchboard. That looks like the inside of my brain.
Yeah, this is switchboard I'm using here to be able to broadcast here.
Mm-hmm.
And let's just make this 7. Oh, this is the wrong one.
Similar to Restream.
Yeah. Get rid of this one. And I don't see it to be streaming on the platforms. Let me just check here. Okay, so I am streaming on Facebook. Okay, fantastic. And I'm just going to quickly check YouTube. Oh yeah, yes, I'm live there as well. Perfect. Okay, so I guess we could get right into it. I'm just going to disable the waiting room so people can get in. All right, fantastic. So what we're going to look at today, or what I'm just going to do, is be working on some funnel building for my Ultimate Funnel Toolkit. If you haven't seen it, actually, let me just show you the page. Okay, and I'm going to so many things running. Okay, here we go. Okay, let me know if you guys can see my screen.
I can see the Zoom or the live thing. I did see your funnel page, but then it now it's just us people.
Okay, bear with me here.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's so many things going on. Hi, Carmen, how are you?
There we go.
There we go.
You can see the page now. Yeah.
Okay, so yes, so what I'm doing today is just going to be sharing screen as I build out a funnel, well, a particular funnel from one of my funnel toolkits that I'm offering. It officially goes live on in just 3 days, so 10th of December, or 4 days rather. And you guys can put the link in the description for Zoom as well if you guys want to check it out. But
Yeah,
the
definitely.
main objective here is really just to have you guys see the process that I take to building these funnels. So I'm going to log into the testing site where I have those funnels located. And so if you guys are familiar with funnels, they're essentially just the steps that you uh, create in your business for your customer to take. So that process from making them a lead or an interested person in your who found out about you, like who has gained some sort of awareness about you, to becoming a paying client. And so there are a series of steps that you can take, whether it is that you give them a lead opt-in to a freebie or a lead magnet, and then taking them through the process of acquiring that lead magnet and then acquiring the email. Right, it's almost like a transaction of you get their email, and you give them their freebie or their lead magnet, as some people call it, and then from there you can market to them or build a relationship with them until some point that you market with them. The software that I use for my funnel building on top of WordPress is WooFunnels. There's also Cardflows, which I'm a big advocate for. But in this case, we're going to use WooFunnels. I think I'm just going to...
Michael, can I ask a question?
Sure, go ahead.
When you're using WooFunnel, is it the same thing as when you use CardFlow on mine?
Yes, so WooFunnels and CardFlows are both funnel plugins that work with WooCommerce, and so the process is similar,
Okay,
and you'll be able to see that actually. So I
perfect.
have
Thanks.
some funnels that are in here already, and I'm gonna build out one from what I do typically is have like a wireframe before I build my funnels, so that people who before, and I think it's a good practice, mainly just doing the design of it, so that when you go into your website and your funnel building software, whether you're using a page builder like Gutenberg or Elementor, Divi, if you have a visual design to follow, then it makes it easier to build it out as opposed to kind of building the pieces as you go along. So I am going to pull that up for myself here. And I think what I'm going to do is reduce the amount of load on my site. I realize that it's moving a bit slow. If you're like me, you probably have too many tabs open. If you see me looking towards here, it's because I have my screen. And there we go.
Which wireframe are you using?
So if you're familiar with, and I think I may have shared it with you, in fact, Carmen, when I did your project, it's Figma.
Oh, yeah, okay, remember, thanks.
So I'm just going to click Add New, and let's see, what did I name this funnel?
I'm not seeing you now. Or you're seeing your page.
You're no longer seeing me?
There, no,
Okay, let's see.
see the squares, yeah.
See you in your background.
Oh, there we go. We had it.
Okay, let's go for an easy one.
Michael, is it normal that everything we see is very fuzzy from your screen?
Is it fuzzy on your end?
Yes. Susan, is it fuzzy for you too?
Yeah, it's not terrible, but just a little fuzzy. Yeah. Like the camera thing's a little fuzzy.
Okay, let me see if I can. I'm gonna switch to just the Ethernet. Let's see if that works. Should be a better connection.
You can see it. It's just the text is, a little fuzzy to read. It's kind of like going to having an eye exam.
Oh dear. So maybe I can show you what I'm doing here. I have a ton of different funnels that I mapped out. And I'm just deciding which one I want to go with here. And let's just go with a high ticket funnel. So we'll do this one here. And I'll show you the process of how we go about building this out. So I'm just going to do this. So this is the funnel. It's a high ticket funnel, which just really involves an application. So if you're running an inner circle and you want to have people opt in to a very premium group coaching program or a one-on-one program, and you want to have a lead for that, this is a funnel for those who may have that type of service. And so they usually tend to have a lot of testimonials because they work with a very niche crowd, or they have a very large audience that they've worked with, in fact. And so to encourage them to get into this premium service, that is what this is intended to do, okay? All right, so I have my funnel here that I'm going to copy, and so what I'm going to do is just simply pull this to the side. And then we also have an exit intent pop-up that we can use so that if someone does navigate away from the page, this pop-up is going to show, hey, start your application here, or hey, did you forget something? Or, a call to action that's going to ask them to continue engaging with you. So I'm going to do that on my other page so that you guys can see clearly what I am doing here. And the page builder I'm going to use today is just going to be with Elementor. So I'm just going to call this high ticket funnel inner circle. Let's fix that. High ticket. So with WooFunnels, you add your title, and then they generally tend to have a lot of don't have a lot of templates, sorry. And so that was hence the reason for me making this toolkit, because I realized the funnels that were built out by these by these developers for these funnel plugins weren't the best, or at least were very limited. And so I decided I would make some for those who use these on WordPress. And so we're going to add a step. And so this initial step that I showed you on the page, it could be considered an opt-in page or a sales page, but we're going to go with opt-in page because we are going to inquire and see if we can get their email address for them to then move into the application page. So we'll have opt-in, and I'm just going to call this application page hyphen high ticket funnel inner circle. That's quite the name there, but it helps me ensure that I have the correct funnel when I'm looking through. So I know this is the application page, and we can add all the other pages, in fact. So we can have the confirmation. So this will be on confirmation page. High ticket funnel inner circle. So I believe this only has 2 steps, which is just the application page, confirmation page. But you can add as many steps. You can even take them into an offer, but more than likely for an premium offer like this, it won't involve any upsells. Okay, let me just go see if anyone has any questions. Yes, we have Michael from France saying hello. So we're going to start from scratch, and I'm going to click edit. And WooFunnels is able to identify which builder you're using. So it knows when I click edit to open it inside of Elementor. If your builder is Gutenberg, it will know to use to take you to the Gutenberg page. Okay, so here we go. We're in Elementor, and first things first, on the page we have a hero section with just a video and some text. And maybe I can show you exactly how I go about doing this. So once I've built it out, this is actually already a site, is I will add this extension. So if you're using Chrome, so I'm not sure if it's in Safari, but if you're using Chrome, you can add extensions. You can just search for the extension. So for the extension I use is called What Font. And so when I enable it, what I can do is as I hover over different sections of the website, it's going to tell me what font is being used. So you can see here the main font here is just Montserrat, which in fact is actually the font that I use for my own branding. So I know that I'm going to be font, Montserrat throughout the website. But as I click on it, you'll see that it actually gives me the hexadecimal code for the color, as well as the weight, the style, and the size. So I tend to use this a lot, even if I'm looking at other people's websites for inspiration. I use one font and I just like hover around and see what fonts are, because sometimes I don't know what is a font that will complement each other. And if you haven't narrowed down a font, I encourage you to do this. If you see a font that you like on someone else's webpage, you can go ahead and use this as well. And since we're on the topic of extensions, you can also consider Colorzilla. It's another Google Chrome extension. So if I were to pick color from page, as I hover over different areas, it's going to give me the color. So I just have to make sure that I'm hovering over the right thing so that the color in this area changes. So if I wanted that gold, I can click there and then it copies it to my clipboard. So more than likely I'm going to be doing that. And I'm not sure.
Can you repeat the name of that extension? Color what?
Colorzilla. Maybe I can do a quick search for it.
Colors. A lot. Okay, thanks. It's too fuzzy. We cannot read what you're typing.
I'll put it in chat.
Okay, thanks. Colorzilla, okay. Thanks.
There we go. And so what I'm going to do is add a section. And you can add sections depending on what builder you're using. Most builders are built on top of sections, columns, and rows. I think is what they've used. The same is true for Gutenberg. You can add sections which allow you to edit the background. So I'm just going to add that section, and then I'm going to go back to this page. And I can just see it's just a dark background. In fact, it looks like there's an image in the background there. But we're not going to add an image in the background for now, as I don't think I have any. Or maybe I can show you the process of how I find images. So first, we're just going to add our logo, the application, text, and this video in this section, along with a button. So I'm going to go back to Elementor, and I'm going to make sure that this has 2 columns. So I'm going to add a new column here. And I'm also going to edit this section and play with the height. So I'm going to add minimum height, and it should fit to the elements that I'm going to add. So first things first, I'm going to add an image. So just drag an image in here. And I believe I have a logo image in here. Let's see. So I'm just going to select this one and click Insert. And then I also have, let's just see, an Apply Now button. So I'm going to go in here, find my button widget, and I'm going to align this right. And just going to change the text to Apply Now. So generally, before I do any designs, I try to add the elements. And now I will edit this section. And I know it's going to be almost like a black, but like a washed out black is what I'm going for. And I'm actually going to reduce the height on this section. So I'll just put it back at default so it just fits to the content. In Elementor, what tends to happen is that this content is fixed to the top of the column. So I'm just going to go into the column settings, and by clicking on this icon here, and then go to vertical line middle, and there we go. So we have that section, and we're going to add another section here. And in this other section, what we have is text and the video. So I'm just going to copy this, in fact. Copy. And in this section, we're going to add a heading. And I'm just going to paste that in here. And I'm going to center align it. And just as I said, we can use Color or when the text is prevalent and it's not an image, because sometimes people do add text as images. So I'm just going to click in this area, and I'm just going to copy this hexadecimal code so that I can go into the settings of this heading widget and paste it in. Okay, so there we go. And like I said, we know that we're going to be using Montserrat.
Is there a place you go if you don't have the fonts?
If you don't have the font, you are able to import the font into Elementor or your builder of choice. But typically, if you're using any builder, they tend to have the Google fonts already preloaded.
Okay.
So Montserrat is a Google font, so that should be available. So another thing here, like I said, when I click using what font, I'm able to see the size, the weight, and the style. So we know we have a normal size, a weight of 500, and the size is 26. And we can play around with that. So I have a weight of 600, and I want to add a size of 26 pixels. And we have a default style. So that should be it. However, I do want to make the font a little bit thinner on the stroke. So maybe, although what font, oh, actually they say 500, so I'm actually at the wrong one. So I need to go to 500, and there we go. Now I know the text after this is white, so what I'm going to do is actually just edit this section and give it a dark background color. Perfect. And I'm just going to add another heading here right underneath it. And I'll also select this and see. So we know it's a completely white text. We have the size of 130 and weight 700. So I'll do the same here. I'm going to paste, sorry, need to get that text actually. Just going to copy that and paste it in here. Center it. And again, let me silence my phone. So again, we look for Montserrat and 700. And I believe this size was 130, so that looks about right. So looking good. We can just add a video widget as well. And we already look like we're similar to this design. So we do have another area here of text. So what we will do is I'm just going to copy that. And I'm going to make this background a little bit darker actually. I'm actually going to drop it all the way down. And the same for this one. Okay. And so Elementor does have a ton of widgets you can play around with to achieve this. If I wanted to get this kind of microphone icon. So I'm just going to use an icon list. If you're using Gutenberg and you have the Cadence plugin, you can also achieve this. They have an icon list in their stack of blocks. So I'm just going to center this. And I'm going to make the icon color this color that we have here, which I already copied. So I'm just going to use, this is how powerful ColorZilla is in that extension. It's easy for me to just grab the color and have it saved when I need it. In fact, the icon is actually white. So I'm just going to go to white. And I'll change that in a second. And my text color, I believe, is also white. And I can actually just see what size that is. So again, hover over it. It's 400 in weight, 20 in size, and it's completely white. So what I'll do is I'll go here. Again, I'm going to select Montserrat. So it's 23. That might be a little big. Oh, 20. So do that. And then let's go back to content where we can edit this. Oops. So I want to copy this here. And I can change the icon. And Elementor uses Font Awesome, and I believe you can use this in Gutenberg and Divi as well. So I'm just going to look for Mike, or maybe let's try volume. Yeah, there we go. And I'm going to insert it, and it's a little small, so I'm just going to go back into the icon settings and bump this up just a little bit, maybe to the same amount of pixels as the font, so it looks pretty good there. And if we want to get that background, what we can do in Elementor is go to the advanced sections, go to background, and I'm just going to add that color. So I'm going to get my color picker tool and copy that hexadecimal code to the clipboard and just paste it in there, and we're already looking good. So let's just preview how that looks here. So I think we're looking just about right. There's a bit of a padding in between each of these icons. So what we're going to do is reduce that. And to do that, we can go into the column section and reduce the column widget space. So that's the space between each element if you're using Elementor. So I'm just going to reduce that to 0. And so now everything is kind of aligned. And we can use individual padding to separate them. So I'm going to just add on the section some padding. And some padding is essentially the space around the element or around the block if you're using Gutenberg to space things out. Okay, so if I want to add some spacing in between this section and that section, I'm just going to click on the section and I'm going to add maybe about 25 pixels from the top. Okay. And so there we have it. So our next element that we want to add is this bit of text. So I'm actually going to use a regular text editor widget here. I can drag it underneath. It's not letting me. Oh, there we go. And again, we will center align it and change my font to Montserrat and increase it to 20. And we can see that it's a little bit confined. So what we're going to do here is just give it a bit of padding. So we can go into the padding area, and I'm going to add 10 from the top and the bottom, and maybe 30 pixels on both ends. And then if you have wool funnels, what you can do is they do have individual widgets to add buttons, but we're just going to use a typical button here. And we'll just add this button. And we'll center it. And our text says apply now for the inner circle. So this is the call to action, or CTA. So apply now for the inner circle. I'm just going to quickly style this button. I'm going to go to the style area, And I should have that hexadecimal code still copied here. So I'm going to copy to clipboard, and I'm going to paste it in here. And I'm just going to mess with the padding. So you usually want to have the button very prevalent on the page so that they know, it's almost like they're attracted or magnetized to this call to action. So I'm just going to add maybe 50 pixels from each end on the right and the left, and probably about 25 from the top and the bottom. And our text is looking a little bit small there, so I'm going to go into the typography of the button. And again, we will look for our font. And I presume we can do something like 28 to make it nice and big. And if you use Elementor, they have some cool animations you can add to it. Oops. So I'm going to go to the hover section, and then we can add a hover animation, and maybe we want it to sync a little bit. So I'm going to look for the sync, and that just essentially means as we hover over it, it's going to sync it down so that if you're on a PC or a Mac computer, you'll be able to identify, okay, if I hover over this button, it's going to sync, which means I have to interact with it. Okay, so we have that button. And yeah, that concludes that first section. And what you can do in Elementor, and you can actually, let's cancel that before it goes, and there we go. So what we can do is actually go to the navigator of Elementor, and we're just going to give that section a name so that we're able to identify it when we come back to it. So I'm just going to go in here in the navigator section, and I'm going to call this the hero section. And it's what we call as designers, web designers, above the fold, meaning that it's above most of the content. So like if you had back in the day when when people used to read newspapers, above the fold of where you would have the newspaper. I don't have a newspaper to show you, but it's essentially the headline content, right? So let's just add a new section. So this new section is going to be this area here, and this is, you kind of have to learn how to go about adding sections, and whether you're using Elementor, Divi, Gutenberg, whatever builder you're using, you have to identify how many sections that you need. So how I would look at it, like once I've kind of designed the page, although this is a live page, I would look at this as one entire section. And I'd also scroll down here and consider this area looks like it could be one section as well, this white area, because it has one complete background. And then I'll scroll down and see, okay, this could be a third section here, a fourth section. This could also be a section as well if you wanted it to be. A fifth section, and then a sixth section, okay? And then we have our footer. So,
Michael,
sure.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I have to jump for another meeting and lunch meeting. So I wanted to ask, but thank you very much for your live stream. Would I be able to use that link that you showed us for the page to purchase your 60 off funnels?
Yep. So that is a live link, and you can go ahead and purchase, and you'll see all that it's included. So it's like 37 pre-designed funnels, graphic designs, as well as some email templates.
Right. Great. Yeah, because I've just started using the Build Woo funnels, and you're right. The templates are nice, but not necessarily everything. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, fantastic.
Okay, thank you. Bye now.
Thanks for joining us. Take care.
Bye.
Okay, so let's start building this other section. So what I'm going to use here is actually an image icon. So on this image icon, I'm going to add an image box. And I'm just going to look for a typical image here that I can use. And in order to get these round edges here, what I'll do is I'll go into the image style, and I'm going to round the border edges. So I'm just going to make it 100. And I'm going to copy this text here. And paste it in here. We don't need the heading, so I'm going to remove that. And as you can see, it's a little bit too wide for my liking. So what I'm actually going to do is click on this icon, go into the advanced section, and I'm going to go to the positioning and make the default width custom. So I can make this, let's say, roughly about 50%. Okay, no, that's too small. Oh no, it's percentage. So I'm going to do 50%. And I want to go to the column and center it. Okay. So now I can click on this image box and I can edit the content. So I want to add a box shadow. So I'm going to go to the border. And what the box shadow does essentially is it just creates this shadow behind the content of the element that you're using. And so we can see that it's a little bit too close on the edges. As you can see here, it has a bit of padding on either side. So we're just going to add a bit of padding around this element. So I'm going to go to advanced. And it looks like roughly about 30 pixels, or maybe even less than that, 20 pixels. And we can go back to the border and round the edges. So we're looking a bit better there. And what we want to do is also customize the text. So I'm going to go back to content inside of the image box and go to the typography and choose our font Montserrat. And this is for the title. So I want to do the description. And I'm going to make this 18. So I think I may have made it a little bit too closed in, so I'm actually going to expand it a little bit more. I'm going to go back to advanced and to positioning, and let's do 70% perhaps. Okay, that looks more like it. And going to increase the size of my text. And decrease the size of my image. So I'm going to decrease the width. Let's say about 20 is about right. And I want this centered. Okay, so the more important step here is that I want this to kind of overlap. And so that most times that can be a difficult task for people to achieve. But what we're going to do is I'm going to show you about the padding. So if I click on Edit section for this top section here, you see that I need to have a little bit more space in order to have this overlap. So I'm actually going to go to the bottom padding and add about 150 pixels. And now I can go to my element, and if I go to the advanced section, I can go to the margin, and if padding increases the space in between elements, then the margin is the outer area. So if I wanted to add space in between this element in this box, I'd go to padding. So you see, if I'm just going to exaggerate it so you'll see. If I add 50, it's adding more space around the element. But if I do the margin is the space outside of the element. And if I were to add 50 on top, you'd see that it has this space in between the element and the borders of the margin. So if I were to do negative margin, it's going to decrease the space or reduce the amount of space from the element and that border. And so when we in fact add a negative padding, what happens is it's going to bleed outside of the confinement and go into the next section. Now we're having some issues here because our background is transparent. So what we need to do is go into the element and go to the background, and we're just going to make sure that it's white. And I'm just quickly going to see if we have any questions on Facebook. And on YouTube. And seems like I need to block someone. Hide user on this channel. Okay. And so we're already looking good with that. I mean, we could style it a little bit more. There's also this thin gold border, which we can also add, but you know, we want to make this video as concise as possible. So I'll just do this last section here, and then that will be it. So let's copy. We do have an instance of this here up here. So I'm just going to copy and paste it. All right. So we can do that by going here. Just going to right click, copy. And I'm actually going to just click in this region and click paste. And now we have this area here. And I want to sort of add space in between. So of course we have to use our padding. So I'm going to use 10 at the top and 10 at the bottom. And then we have another instance of this larger text. So I'm going to paste that in as well. And it is white, so we're going to go and ensure that it's this color. And I believe the text is success stories. And I don't think it is as big, so I'm just going to use 100 for the size, and I'm going to do that. So then all we have beyond that is just videos. So what I'm going to do is use an inner section, drop it in here, and I'm going to add some text. And what's fantastic about builders is that you can copy the content from one element to another or duplicate it. So that's exactly what I'm going to do here. I'm just going to fully design one, which will make this a lot easier for us. So I'm going to copy this, and I also need to know what font it is. So it's Montserrat 400 16 pixels. So I'm going to paste the content in here. And we're going to center it. My text is going to be white, so I'm just going to make it white for now. and 400, and it's 16 pixels. I'm just going to change it to Montserrat, though we can't see it right now. We will in just a couple seconds. I'm just going to select one. Show me the font. Oh, there it was. It's taking a while here. Right, so Montserrat, and though we can't see it, what we're going to do is add that color that we have in our clipboard to the background. And we'll just add a bit of padding as well. So maybe we want to have 5 pixels on the top, 5 pixels on the bottom, so that we have some spacing in between. And we're now going to add our video in here. And like I said, in each column, there's also always a default space of 20 pixels. We're just going to zero that out. And there we go. So now we can duplicate this column and delete this empty column here. And voila, we can just duplicate this as many times as we need them. So depending on how many testimonials you have in here, we'll just go with 4. I'm just going to do one more. And there we go. So let me just update this page, and we're going to see what it looks like on the live end. Okay, so we're looking pretty good here. We have our logo, we have our apply button, which we can also style as well. We have our text, our major headline, our video section that just popped up there. We have our button, and we have our little testimonial here, as well as these other testimonial videos that are showing up. Okay, so just to finish this section, we just have text and a button. So let's go back, and I'm just going to find that text and copy it here. And let's grab that text and copy it, or we can just duplicate it, and I'm just going to drag it in this section here and change the text color. There we go. And we can copy the text and paste it in here. And we can also do the same for our button. Oh, and just saw a typo in here. So I'm just going to copy that again and paste it in here. So let's update the page and just see how that looks. So there we go. We have the beginning section of our page, and it's looking fantastic so far. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end it here. But you can see how easy it is. And this is what is going to be included inside of the Ultimate Funnel Toolkit. Not only will the pre-made funnels be shown there, but we'll also have tutorials, more concise tutorials showing exactly how I go about building these funnels, as well as how you can customize these funnels once they're already built. In this particular use case, I used Elementor, but we will have compatibility for other builders, like if you're using Gutenberg, or if you're using Divi, Oxygen, Beaver Builder, where the objective here is to kind of encompass all of these builders and support them. But you can see how easy it is to do it inside of Elementor. For next week, I'll use Gutenberg because that's a very popular builder that people are using right now, and switching away from Elementor, away from these other page builders to Gutenberg due to the speed. Although you can achieve similar speed, because I use Elementor on my site and even for my funnels, but Gutenberg is typically a very fast builder because it doesn't have as many codes in the background that Elementor and these other plugins add, and it's a lot more streamlined and concise. So that's all for today, but if you want, like I said, you can get the Ultimate Funnel Toolkit. Purchase it before it's officially launched at the non-discounted price. And yeah, you can get access to funnels like these, as well as tutorials, graphics, all of that combined, okay?
Are those tools working on any kind of funnel or just on WooFunnel?
This will work with cart flows as well.
Okay.
So what we'll have is tutorials to show you exactly how you can implement the funnels for a builder like cart flows as well.
Okay. Okay. Thanks. It was very informative. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you so much for attending, Carmen. And let me just quickly check to see if anyone else has said anything in the chat. Okay, just Michael. All right, awesome. Okay, so thank you so much. I will see you next week, Monday, for another session where we will build out these funnels. Okay?
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.